Yo, what is good with y'all? This is Mira from Internet Money, and today I'm going to be going over 5 fundamental principles that I follow when making beats. And so y'all can learn these principles and apply them to your own beats for, your own good sake. So with that being said, let's just get straight into the video. Alright, so step 1. Step 1 on my list of these 5 principles is the failure to resonate melodies correctly. Now that might sound like some mumbo jumbo, a different language to you, but I'm going to explain what it means right here for y'all. So let's say I have this melody right here. I'm going to play it for y'all. Alright, now that may be good for a beat, but we may want to add some more melodic components to it. Now this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about resonating frequencies. We can see the melody right here is mainly taking up from around 200 to 2.4k hertz. That's its sweet spot. So it's really low mid frequencies we're getting from this melody. So when we add another melody, we want to go higher octaves, with higher frequencies, so we can fill up that other space in the spectrum that we don't have filled up, such as the mid over here and the upper mid. So I'm gonna show you a bad example of what not to do and then a good example. So first off, this would be a muddy mix with frequencies that don't resonate. And note, these are all in the same key. As you can see, they're sort of fighting for the same frequency space. So what we want to do is take this piano melody over here, raise an octave, still kind of muddy, and if we want to get it right, just completely perfect, my preference would be to raise it up again. Yeah, that's how I'd match another sub layer or sub melody to that. If we wanted to, we could go over here and match the same notes that we have in the other melody, and then raise it just one octave up. But since all these notes are the exact same notes as the other, the frequencies will be around the exact same, and they'll be the same tune. They won't be fighting for the same space because they pretty much are in the same space, if that makes sense. Alright, now step 2 is a very common problem I hear with newcomers beats that really just throws whole beats off, and this also has to do with the frequencies. It is clashing 808s and not having your 808s in tune with your actual melody. So over here I'm going to go drum kits. I'm just going to grab a random 808, have this one right here, and before I use it I'm going to delete this tempo mark, and I'm going to go to regions and detect pitch region. So right here we see this is F2 or F right there, so we're going to drag this over to our step sequencer, go over here and select the F key right here. So when we play this 808 at C, it will be an actual C. Now some 808 samples may be a little bit off tune with pitch, so you can just adjust that over here with the pitch knob. And the thing I like to do with my 808s is raise them octaves higher so you can hear the actual note being played. Alright, now that we have our 808 as a root C, it's in tune, it's tuned. We're gonna go over to our main melody, make sure that ghost notes are enabled, helpers, ghost channels, and then we want to follow the ghost or the root notes of this melody. Right here we have C, C, then we have D, and then B. And we don't want any 808 overlapping with a different note, such as this. We don't want a C to be where a D should go. Now you may think it does sound a little muddy, and that is because our melody right here, it has some lower notes that are close to our root notes. So what we can do is take all these notes and raise them an octave higher. And we can transpose them. Alright, so step 3 in this video is going to be avoiding overcomplicated drum patterns. Now, before me, I have this pattern I just made in a couple minutes, and it looks all over the place. I'm going to play it for y'all and show y'all, yeah, what's wrong with it. So here it is. Alright, so some of y'all may think, oh, this sounds fine, that sounds nice, it has bounce to it, it sounds pretty crazy. But what artists are thinking when you send these beats to them, you know, if this is your plan, if you do want to get, you know, your beats to artists, sell them online or whatever, these artists do not like all these overcomplicated sounds and all these different percussion and rolls going on everywhere. So, examples like this. These unnecessary hi-hat rolls that don't really need to be there. This constant open hat that's very annoying. And probably obvious to a lot of you, this snare roll that's going on in the background of the beat. That can be very annoying to artists when they want to rap over the beat and they want it to just be simple. So how to make this simpler is the question. So also for kick patterns especially, I would avoid doing complex kick patterns that aren't catchy. So for this, I'd say play the beat and try to repeat the kick pattern just with your voice or pounding on a table. And if it's hard for you and you can't remember it, or you can't stay on beat or stay with the kick, then it's not really a catchy kick pattern, and it's going to be hard for listeners to, you know, catch the groove that you want them to get. So we have different things going on all over here, but with my kick patterns, I like to make them, you know, a 2-bar or 4-bar loop. So and then I just keep this like this and then repeat it over. It's real catchy and simple. Now for my hi-hat over this, I just do a simple 2-step. And then where I want different bounce or a different feel for the beat, I'd add a hi-hat roll. Such as here. And maybe here. And this would be my example of what the beat should sound like without all these unnecessary noises going on. As for the perk, I take it out so it's not repeating so often. Especially the open hat, I take this out all the way throughout here. Unless you want to give the beat a different bounce for, you know, a post hook or second part of a hook. In the case that you're doing this, I would make the open hat quieter as it can get annoying to listeners. As far as snare rolls, I just keep it simple with 1 or 2 snares hitting here and there, like this. Unless you want to go with the conventional. And of course, that all depends how your kicks are laid out. It could match with the kick, it couldn't, or it might not. Step 4. Alright, so for step 4 on this list, I'm going to be going over the errors of over compressing and over mixing beats. So I have this beat right here. It's already mixed. It's already done and saved in my files. I'm just going to play it for y'all. This is what it sounds like with all my, master effects and everything, which is only 2 plugins. Alright, it sounds alright. It sounds right. Not bad, not bad. The mix sounds fine. All the sounds you can hear, fine. They all blend well and mesh together well. Now, a common error I see in a lot of up-and-coming producers is worrying about their sounds too much, and when they don't hear something right in their melodies, they often just rush to go to mixing, and they say that mixing is the problem. But most of the time, that muddy sound that producers get in their mixes comes from, like I said earlier, frequencies clashing with each other and not resonating well. So, main things I'd avoid when mixing would be 1, cutting all the low frequencies out of the melodies. A lot of producers tell you to do this, so it makes room for the bass. But what that simply is doing is taking out those natural frequencies that makes the sound, not so dry and thin. When you have these low frequencies and your bass is in tune and everything is, resonated right or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. I just don't know how to say it with words. But when your 808 is in tune, these frequencies won't matter because they will mesh with the others well and they won't fight for that space. That 150 right there. Another error I see producers do is go quick to different compressors and they try to make each sound as loud as it can possibly get, like this. Which can make a mix sound very, just not sound as clear. So once they do that, they start adding all these different compressors everywhere. And it sounds really drained out. And then when they add all their sounds together and they go to the master, they do some more compression like that, like this. And it just comes out bad. Sounds flattened, it sounds unnatural. And it sounds like the frequencies that were first there once aren't there anymore because you're just crushing and flattening, the waves. And yeah, so when mixing, here's some key pointers for y'all to avoid when mixing. Avoid compressing sounds when they don't need compression. Avoid over equalizing / over EQing the sounds. I'd avoid adding too many effects on one melody, making it too wet or having a melody too dry in the mix. Less is more, and sometimes the key to making something sounds good is to just leave it alone and level it right. When mixing, leveling is really all that matters. Alright, now step 5 on this list is going to be one of the most important steps in making beats, and that is going to be sound selection. Now, a lot of producers, when they first start making beats, they may not have the money to buy the sounds that they need, which is understandable. So, they're quick to go to these free drum kit sites and grab all these free sounds. Now, one thing that is wrong with these sounds is they lack a lot of, frequencies that other sounds have. They are not clear, they sound low quality, and they just don't sound as good on mixes. So I'm going to show y'all some examples. This is a very prime example right here. We can play it right here. And see, we have all our high frequency over here just cut off. So a simple rule of thumb for sound selection. When going through snares, if a sharp snare or a clear snare is the kind of snare you want, I'd go for a snare that has some punchy mid-range frequencies right here and has a good amount of high end up here. Now for kicks are all preference, whether you want them to be very punchy or you want them to be really thumpy. Now for kicks, I would suggest taking, let's say a kick like this, normalize it, and then I'd take, the beginning of it, then do Alt F on the end of it to fade it out. Let's bring it over here. And now let's mess with the frequencies. If we want it to be more punchy, we'd raise the mid frequencies. We don't want that air that's playing in the background of the kick, so we're going to duck this down, but then raise over here. If you want it to be more thumpy or thumpier, we go over around the 60 hertz range and add a little bump. Another thing that can be vital in your beats is our 808 selections. Picking the right 808 sounds that go well with your melody. If you're making a smooth beat, it may not be the best decision to go with an insanely distorted 808 or insanely distorted other drums. You want to match your sounds with the actual style of the beat that you're doing. So if you are making a little pump type beat and you need these crazy distorted sounds, you do not want to grab these soft snaps and soft percussion instruments, soft snares, soft kicks that aren't going to deliver like the way you want them to. So I'd say mainly match the sound selection, the style of the drums to the melody that you're building, and that's how you get all the sounds right in a beat. If your sound, you want it to be very clear mix, I'd go for sounds that have high frequencies in them. If you want them to be punchier, go for the mid-range. If you want them to be really muddy, which not many people do, look for sounds that have a lot of mid to low range frequencies. So yeah, I'm Mira from Internet Money. I hope you guys learned something on this video. I hope you guys take some of these steps that I use in my own beats, so you guys can improve on your work. And with that being said, I'ma just bounce. Peace.